Okay, folks, for this screencast, I'm going to go over Python for once. I've never gone over it. It's a really, really neat program. It's very, very similar to MATLAB. So the first thing that I'm going to do is just talk about how to run it in different environments. So I am a Linux user. So if you need to run Python on Ubuntu, it's extremely, extremely easy. Let me pause this. Yeah, there we go. So it's just, sudo apt-get update, sudo upgrade Python, and I mean, I already have Python on my computer, so if I just open up a terminal, I can type in Python, and what Python runs just like MATLAB. There's like these three symbols here, and so I can do like x equals 2 times x, sine of x. Okay, well, I have to import math. So the problem with Python is that none of the toolboxes are actually built in, so you have to, from math import star. I'll go over this later. Oh, that's right. So there's another problem. So if I type in which Python, it turns out that I downloaded nthought Canopy, and so now there's like two instances of Python on my computer. So if I want to run the right instance of Python, I want to run the /user bin Python, and so now I can do import math sine of x from math import star sine of x. There we go. Okay, so like I said, there's no toolboxes. Things are a little complicated, but the bottom line is once you have it installed, you can run programs from this interpreter here. Now, I don't really like to run Python from the command line itself, so I'm just going to type in quit here. And what I actually like to do is I like to leave my terminal over here, and I use what's called Emacs, and so you can use any editor you want. You can use gedit, whatever. So what I like to do is I'm just going to make a new function called run this.py, and I'm going to do exactly what I had. So it's just like MATLAB, x equals 2. I'm going to do from math import star like that, and then I'm going to say y equals sine of x, and then I'm going to print x comma y, and then I'm going to go ahead and save that. And then if I type in Python run this.py, okay, and again I have to tell it which version of Python I have, because I have two versions of Python. And there you go. So there's let's make this a little bit more human readable. X equals, or x comma y equals, and then let's throw parentheses, a comma, and an end parentheses like that. So that should, no, I didn't like it. All right, what am I missing? Missing a comma here. There you go. So x comma y. So there's x and there's y, and so I did /user bin Python. Now, because I have two different versions of Python, it really annoys me having to type in /user/bin. So when I'm in an editor in Linux, I like to type in shebang, which is a hashtag exclamation, and then tell it which interpreter I'd like to use, /user bin Python, like that. And then what I can do is I can actually type in /run this .py. Now what it's going to say is the permissions denied the first time, and so I need to chmod this. And so I would, if you want to look it up, I'm going to just give it all the user permissions I want, just because I don't really care. And then once I chmod that, then I can type in run this, and it'll actually run the code using the / operator there. So this is one way to run Python. Now, if you don't like that, you can actually go get nthought Canopy and click here, and you can download this. If you have an academic, like me, an academic email address, then you can download the academic version, which is really nice. You can pay for it and get the better version, but I'm going to go ahead and open up Canopy here and just show you. I'm going to pause it so it doesn't take too long. Okay, great. So I got Canopy opened here, and if you noticed, it says I'm logged in. And then, you can do a package manager, install things like that, and then what you can do is you can actually open up the editor here, and so this opens up more like MATLAB. So those of you might actually like this, x equals 2. I wonder if it has, okay, see, and the cool thing is that Canopy imports a lot of things standard, so you don't need to actually import math and whatnot. So I can do things like this. So then the great thing is you can create a new file here, and then let's just make that same file we had. Let's just go over to Emacs and copy and paste that same code. And I'm actually going to leave off. Can I not right-click in Emacs? Okay, so I'm just going to hit Alt-W for copy, and then Control-V for paste. And I'm going to save this, let's see, in desktop. I'm just going to call this run this desktop canopy.py. And then let's see, it doesn't like it. Let's see, there's a way. Give me 1 second. Okay, so there's a curly little thing under here. If you ever run in MATLAB, you'll see that this is there. So if you go down to the bottom right over here, there will be a little warning sign, and so it'll say undefined name sign. So it definitely means that I need to type in from math import star. And so I might as well just explain what this does. So math is a toolbox, and it has a lot of things in it. If you go to Google and you type in what the Python math toolbar, or I guess it's actually called a module, it'll actually tell you all of the different functions that it has. And so when you import a function like that, when you type in import star, what it does is it actually imports every single one of these functions that are in here. So if I only want sign, so if you notice it says from math import star use unable to detect unidentified names. So that means that I imported more than I needed. I could just import sign by itself, but I just like star, so I have everything. You can also do import from math import as m, like that, and then it'll import math as an object, and then you'll do m dot. Let's see. Didn't actually like that. Give me 1 sec. Okay, so when you're doing import math as something, you have to type in it like this: import math as m. But like I said, math isn't that big. From math import star. So I just like to do that, and then I don't need to get rid of m, and it's going to give me a warning or whatever. But anyway, just like MATLAB, I'm going to hit this button here, and then boom, it runs it over here, which is really nice. So there you go. There's how you run Python in a Linux environment. I'm going to pause the the recorder, and I'm going to open up VirtualBox Windows and show you how to run Python there. Okay, now that I've got the VirtualBox of Linux of Windows open, there's a bunch of different ways that you can run Python. You can get this IDLE Python. You can get a Cygwin terminal and run Python in here. Cygwin's really just like a Linux environment, though, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it just because of the environment that it's running with. I have a pretty extensive tutorial on Python, MATLAB, and NumPy. I'll post a link in the description, but basically I go through in Windows like how to download Python. So go to this download here with it's just python.org, and then going in, setting in some environment variables, and then in order to get different packages, you want to get this thing called getpip.py, and like I said, I don't really use Windows that much, so I would just follow this tutorial here, and then you can get matplotlib for Mac, and there's actually has some pretty cool like example scripts here and things like that. But basically, if you just run a command prompt and type in python.exe, it'll open up, just like this, from math import star, and then sine of x. So everything's exactly the same. You can use your favorite editor in Windows and what have you. But anyway, that should get you started with at least running some Python scripts in either Linux or Windows, whatever you want. You can also get nthought Canopy for Python. If you have other environments that you guys like to use Python in, let me know. But basically, the tutorials that will follow from here are going to just be different things like trapezoidal rule, plotting with matplotlib, and things like that. Well, good luck. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention about Python development environment is like the debug capabilities of MATLAB is really nice. So like in MATLAB, if I open this guy up, I know I have 2009 MATLAB, it's terrible. It's really old. So if I just edit a function here, my random, and I do x equals 1 to 10, y equals 1 to 10, plot x comma y, I can put a debug point here, and when I hit play, it stops here, right? And so this development environment here is really nice to have. So Canopy actually does something like that. So if you open up Canopy here, and I click, I'm going to just open a Python file, say this guy here. So this is a pretty big Python file, but say I want to run this in debug mode, I can actually double click and put a debug point here. And so when I hit, let's see, is this it? Run debugger? Yeah, there you go. It's going to run in debugger, and so I can, place my file over here, and then I can do exactly the same thing as that I was doing before. So I can, step over, and then when I scroll over input file name, it'll tell me what input file name is, and you can do a lot of other stuff with debugging and whatnot. You do have to have an academic license, unfortunately, to run debug mode in Canopy, which is why I actually like to use exit's fine, something called Eclipse. And so if you download Eclipse, and what I'll do is I'll link this this blog here that I have in the comments or in the description below, so you can click it. But basically, you open up Eclipse, and Eclipse is a really good C++ and Fortran, or really it's a C++ development environment. But you can actually create a Fortran development environment, and you can import something called PyDev, and this tutorial goes through like how you get it exactly. But basically, with your Python script, you can do exactly the same thing. So I can run it, and it runs it here in the console. I can double click it and run it in debug mode. So PyDebugger is starting. It actually changes the window, and again, I can step over and I can look at what x is. X is a 2. These are all the functions that I have built in. Yada yada yada. I can go back to the PyDev development environment like this. The neatest thing is if you go into terminal and you do sudo apt-get install Bpython. So I already have Bpython, but if you open it up, if I do say like import numpy as np, and then I say x equals np.linspace, it'll actually tell me what the function is doing and like what it needs. So if I say start, stop, and then number of data points, it'll actually help me do that. So when I type in x, it'll help me. It's essentially a completion part. So if I download Bpython, it'll actually integrate into PyDev. And so if I type in from numpy import star, or as in import as np, import. I always get this mixed up. Ooh, oh my gosh. Import numpy, and see, I can actually, it does auto completion numpy as np, and then I can say x equals np.linspace, and there it is. I can actually see what the function does. I can actually read the documentation on it over here on the right, which is super convenient. And there you go. I need to double click that, and then I can say start 10, 50, 100 data points, and then that's it. I can just quit and then hit, delete all that, and then print x. And then again, I can run this in debug mode and hit go, or I can just run the code outright. And so this is really neat and really useful to use. So that's something to keep in mind as well. So I'll make the title of this video like terminal, Canopy, PyDev environment. And so I think when I do my tutorials in Python, I'll try and do it from here, because I can basically go to preferences here and colors and fonts, and let's see, I can make the fonts bigger. So I can do like size 18 or whatever. So that way, when you guys are looking at my code, you can easily see it, which is really neat. I also have Emacs key bindings. So if I go to File Preferences again, or I guess Window Preferences, and go to General Keys, I can click the Emacs key bindings, and so then I can use all of my Emacs shortcuts and stuff like that, which is what I do in MATLAB as well. So those are a million ways that you can run Python, and so hopefully this will help you get started. All right. Good luck.